Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody in between, and all over the world, welcome to the open final here at Vienna Spring Break, the party in Austria. It has been a fantastic weekend so far, and there's no better way to finish it off than this climactic battle between two continental classics. We've got Catchup coming from the far side of Austria against MUC, straight out of Munich. Two proper powerhouses of teams. They've got big shots, they've got big ambitions for this season as they look to crack into the top 8 and perhaps even, dare we say it, beyond. But it all starts here in the gold medal game of Vienna Spring Break. I am Lorcan Murray and I am joined by the one, the only, that's right ladies and gentlemen, the doctor is in. John, are you ready for this game?
Yes, we are, and as you can imagine, it's the two undefeated teams so far at this tournament have made it to the final. No upsets along the way for them, so we're going to find out which team is going to take home the gold now undefeated this weekend.
Here come MUC. A nice sweeping pass to find Wagner right in the middle of the pitch. And you can see they want to create those big pockets of space and attack them with single cutters. Catchup looking to close that gap and make every move difficult. A quick throw down the pitch. And that, as they try to continue it along to Klimsek. And back down to Wagner. Wagner shoots it for the end zone, and it's an early opening score, ending up in the hands of Michael Schutz.
Yeah, really nice downwind offensive hold there to start the game by MUC. The stack set up pretty deep, and then they just started working it into the underspace really well. Again, both these teams undefeated. Good start for MUC. Yesterday, 3 games in their group. They beat Zurich Ultimate 15-6, Mosquitoes 15-10, and Echo D 15-10 also. Then today, they played against Chuplata Zaba from Czech Republic, 15-12 in the semi-final, 13-10 against Echo, and currently 1-0 up against Catchup in the final. And now that we've seen Munich in action, we're going to get a chance to see Catchup in action.
Catchup coming out on the offensive side. They've got many a weapon at their own disposal, and they're going to look to bring the heat and bring the power against this Munich side. They've got the bigger squad. They've got ever so slightly a home ground advantage, and we will see how they can work it out. As you see, 3SB happy to be awarded with some victory tops on the sideline. Catchup Graz hoping to improve upon the impressive effort, it must be said, of their own side. Getting it to Holzer in the middle. The quick throw around. Catchup Graz don't want to be waiting about. They want to get right into business. Fischer and Holzer, two very important handlers for this side. As you can see, just swapping it back and forth right now and marching their way down the pitch. Fischer gets the break through to the middle. Smoothly taken in. And there's the high release backhand over the top. He's looking all the way and finding him for the score. Sven Kleinhappel.
Yeah, and just like in the last game there, we're talking about Fischer as being one of the strong throwers, has a really big arsenal of throws. I was wondering there if he was going to throw the kind of inside-out flick to the far sideline, but decides to go with the high-release backhand. And as you said, Catchup are the only other undefeated team at this one. And yesterday they beat Shulpada Zaba 15-9, Uprising 15-7, Monkey 15-12. And then this morning in the quarterfinal, 15-6 against Echo D. And I think in our last stream game, the men's division, they beat Fui 15-7. And now they tied this one up at 1-1. So both teams with pretty clean, effective holds to start the game. You could almost argue they're kind of similar looking passages of play, working the unders to start, and then nice kind of expansive throw just to finish off the point. Now we get a second look at the Munich downwind point. So again, I think both these teams are going to come out. I think noticed it in a lot of the games this weekend, in the close games, it's both teams coming out very explosive, and I think it could take a few points to settle in, figure out how they're going to do. But Catchup have been here before. They were in this final last year, so
where they were very successful in their attempts. Can't really remember against who, as Wagner picks it up to get things going for MUC and their O-line. Looks for the swing back into the center of the pitch. Dadwai Vatrin. And down the line, Jvenšek. Jvenšek tries to get the around and pulls it off very effectively. Nicely done. Meyerhofer gets it back into the center. So MUC working their way down the pitch quite comfortably, certainly with a lot of confidence. And back across to Kumsik. Wagner outside the end zone. Wants the quick shot in there, can't quite get it off. Swings it back around to the middle. And then a nice quick bit of play, the bobble, but collected on the other side nicely. And finished off for MUC to keep the lead, 2-1.
Yeah, nice little move there in front of the end zone out of the dump to just commit his defender to thinking he's heading towards the stack and then cuts back across the front and gets a relatively easy looking open side pancake catch to get the score. But again, he had to work a little bit to sell his defender on that. It's not just as easy as just running straight up line. So again, no turnovers yet. Styles of play in terms of what I'm expecting, I think we're going to see if there's one team more likely to expand their throws and use the deep shots more. I think it's probably going to be the catch-up line. I expect this German team to work it in the under spaces and the break side spaces a small bit more. So again, we'll see. The wind isn't too bad. I think both these teams are not going to think of it as too much of a factor, and I guess it's just going to come down to which team's able to execute their style better. Both these teams have no problem doing it so far. Catchup players have their hands up, ready to get the next point underway. And the pull goes up.
And the big pull goes up. Catchup Graz, 2-1 down. All offensive holds so far, all flawless. No one's been able to get a break. Who will be the first? It remains to be seen. Mori sends that down the line into the waiting hands of Breitenhaler. Breitenhaler, very impressive, huge layout block, but it isn't quite enough. That's the effort you're going to have to put in to get the disc off them, and it doesn't work out yet. It's another score for that number 82, Sven Kleinhappel.
Yeah, and just as I talked about in the last one, Fischer with the crossfield flick there, it was the obvious option for him. He didn't have to quite put as much inside out in it. Unlucky by the Munich defensive player, makes a huge play. I think he got a touch on the disc, but the offensive receiver able to keep his focus, make the catch, and then he has a wide open player on the far sideline that he's just able to lead into space with no defensive pressure around him. And again, the closest we've been to a turnover so far, but no turnovers yet.
Monstrous bid, not quite enough, but there will be plenty more bites at that apple that'll leave little more than teeth marks in the disc. 2-2 the score. Both these teams evenly matched, ready to go. I like this intensity. I like this heart, especially towards the end of the tournament. It can be hard to get up for some of these games at times. But you see these players ready to roar.
Yeah, if ever there's a game it's not going to be as difficult to get up for, it's going to be the final. And then we see a little unfortunate break here. Not sure if he's going to brick that or if he's going to take it in. And I think it might have gone out around the halfway line perhaps, but I think he's going to just take the brick. Happy to start with the disc in the middle of the field. Split
Not a bad decision to make.
Yeah, it looks like a... Yeah, it is. Split stack. Looks like
I'm always curious about the split stack. It seems like something would be very easy to poach against and do help defense, but you see you want to go to the sideline into a power position for Wagner. Now he can get to the space in the middle, so really good way to attack out of a split stack and keep the offense moving the whole time. They're trying to get back into the middle. Mayahofa just taking his time, no need to rush, and I think perhaps falling guilty of thinking about the throw before securing the catch. We lead to the first turnover. It's going to be picked up by Catchup Graz. Bobanek, no stranger to a big shot himself, opts instead to go for the swing back into the middle and just continued all the way over. That was fluid. Well taken into the hands of Kailani. Kailani gets it back, and now it's into the middle again under a lot of pressure. Moik tries to get the quick fire flick across. That's tough to corral and bounces out of the hands of his receiver. So MUC get another look in.
Yeah, now both teams have had their first turnovers. Let's see if the MUC O-line needs a second chance if they can get it done.
So they start working their way back down the pitch. Meyerhofer launches. He's looking for shoots underneath, chasing it down. Two defenders, but neither of them can get there before the zippy Michael shoots for the score, 3-2.
Yeah, great deep shot. Defender was really pulling in, poached off the back off another player, but again, good early take by the offensive receiver. Held onto it. Decent pressure by the defense, but again, maybe not expecting so many shots from the Munich, but they're showing that they're able to do it as well. I think on your mention of the split stack they do at the start, I think something I noticed with the German teams, it's whenever I come up against a German team, it's pretty predictable what they're going to do. And the one thing I've learned in Ultimate is you can have a plan for knowing what one team's going to do, but being able to quickly explain to your team the countermeasure, not a lot of players are always quick enough to be able to adjust to that. So you can come out, and if you don't, like, maybe in that one when it's a brick, you would think, you know, Vienna, or Catchup grads would take a second and just see it's a split stack, and it shouldn't be that hard to counter it, but fairly straightforward.
It's tough in that moment, and what they did really well was where they attacked the split stack and sending it to the sideline, from the sideline back into the middle. That's actually a very smart use of the split stack rather than just trying to attack through the middle channel, which I think leads to a lot of poach blocks. As Holzner just fights the urge perhaps to huck that one all the way down deep. Instead, they're going to set things up, taking their time initially, not trying to force too much immediately. Fischer even putting that one back in the pocket. Holzner, this is very smooth, calm, controlled offense as they work their way down the pitch. Fischer has a few throws, but just waiting for the easiest one to become available and running into the speedy path of Breitenhalle.
Yeah, nice little throw down there. Makes it look easy in the end, but the fact that he can throw that early means he can wait it out before the force is able to get onto him. And that's another thing I like to teach my players is the more weight you can put on the disc when you need to, the earlier you can throw it. But if you're a player who has to wait and throw it at an exact speed, sometimes you lose the window that's there. And just to be able to throw those downwind, again, another throw that it looks very easy, and you're on the stream, it's like, oh, I could do that. And I tell you, it's not as easy as it looks when there's a slight wind to just wait it out there in front of your player. And again,
the touch is so hard to get right. I mean, there are some players who can effectively cause their discs to levitate as they throw them towards the end zone. And then, depending on the conditions, it can lead to it dropping as well. It's all about how much spin can you put on the disc.
Yeah, and again,
so it can maintain its flight, and it's very impressive. Fischer, a true master of the art.
Yeah, catch up there. I think it's 3 for 3 on their 0 points without turnovers. So they're going to get another chance. They already got a turnover off the MUC line on the last point. They weren't able to capitalize on it, but let's see if they can go one step further this time.
Big pull out. And here come MUC to follow it up. We're going to get things started. Immediate center into Klimczek.
Again, another kind of standard side
Wagner leans back and unleashes a huge shot. It's carrying away from the defender and perfectly into the path of Fabian Meyerhofer. That was spectacular.
Yeah, again, it looks very simple from the sideline here when you can see the way they're setting up. Sideline sets up, one player just clears the space, and then you just have a free under. I think, again, even when I say sometimes the counter stick can be a bit easy, I've noticed that against some of the German teams also, which habit it is. I say it's easy to counter, but the German teams are also good at the next level. So I know sometimes you joke about, oh, some people treat the game like chess, and I would say German set plays are very much like a game of counters. It's like, I've got my plan, you've got your counter, and if you can do that counter, we have the next one. And as simple as it sounds, that's a very it's basically as much as you need to be able to do in Ultimate. Is we got one plan, if they stop it, this is plan 2, and teams usually can maybe stop the first one but not stop the second one. Right on schedule, we see that massive plane we saw yesterday that we both couldn't stop looking at, just taking off again. So
I just like watching things in flight, so I'm such a big fan of this sport, and why I'm so happy to be here in Vienna for what has been a wonderful weekend. Might have gotten a little bit damper today, but honestly I think my skin is thankful for that, as it reduced the chance of heat stroke, which I got dangerously close to yesterday. As right now, Catchup Graz trying to find the right stroke for themselves. Their offense has been flawless so far. Can they keep it going? Quick scoop inside and comfortably taken down. Breitenhalle already got one score to his name. Goes back to Holzner. Holzner spreads it out. Deep shot momentarily available. Doesn't want to force it straight away. Instead, waiting for the under. Very nicely worked by Kleinhappel. There's the shot to the end zone. And despite the best efforts of Dennis Holzer, who practically took flight to try and take that disc down, it does wind up in the expectant hands of Jonathan Breitenhalle.
Yeah, good. Might be a call. No call yet.
No call. Just a bit of discussion, which I like. You know, you let the call go. You have a bit of a chat. By the way, going forward, could we make these adjustments? Just how you're playing.
Good job by the receiver there. I thought when the defender was going to go up, I think he was actually going to go up around the same time that the offensive player was about to go up, but I think then the offensive player realized that the defensive player had just gone up too early and he wasn't going to do it, and he just didn't bother jumping and has a nice easy pancake catch. So
how many times have you seen the offensive player be sucked into bidding too early only for the disc to go over both heads?
Yeah, it happens probably a bit more than it should, but again, sometimes you're not entirely sure what the defensive player is capable of, and I think he saw he had a bit of a height mismatch there, or not, I wouldn't say a height mismatch, but he saw the player was in a position where everything was kind of against him to be able to make that play, and once he decided to jump, I think offensive player realizes he doesn't need to jump, he's just going to let it come down, whereas maybe if the defensive player doesn't jump, then the offensive player waits one more step and jumps, and then the defensive player has no chance. So sometimes you just can't win when you're on defense in those situations. You can just hope to force an error.
Forcing errors was the favorite aspect of my defense, as here MUC, they've made one error so far, and that has been it, as the Catchup Graz defense looks to apply a bit more pressure. Wagner spreads it across, and that's a lovely inside flick, finding Schultz. Schultz with a quick pop back. And well taken down. Meyerhofer really playing a bit of a linchpin role here. I believe that's Meyerhofer anyway. Just received it back from Vatrin. And then Meyerhofer tries to go for the inside flick cut. That's a tough cut to make. You can see the isolation on the front of the stack. Dancing back and forth as they're trying to find some kind of space somewhere. It winds up with Meyerhofer. Klimesh is making all kinds of moves, couldn't get there, and then a bit of a trip, but decided that disc was too far away. Very, very spirited from Schutz. That's the second turnover from MUC in this game. Can Catchup Graz take advantage?
Yeah, they were really trying to isolate those three players at the front there, but the Catchup defense was just doing a really good job at pressuring everything, and then I'm not sure if it was initial trip or, but he forced the turn.
Oh my word! Well, it didn't work out, but it must be said that for a brief moment I thought men could fly watching that incredible effort. But again, Catchup Graz get the turn and immediately turn it right back. Here come MUC. They won't make the same mistake twice. Reiter gets it down. Meyerhofer looking for options. Goes back to Wagner. Wagner back to Meyerhofer. Wagner doesn't like the first look. He's got quite an array of throws, though, at his disposal. Reiter. Sorry, Rieder. Back to Wagner. And Wagner holding onto that disc, thinking about it for a while. Eventually goes back to Rieder. Rieder, a soft touch, gets it into Vatrin. Just about. That's another huge play. Meyerhofer. Back across to Wagner. Sorry, Kimesh. Across to Wagner. Wagner throws it around to Rieder.
A bit confused exactly what happened there. I think there was initially maybe a foul, and he looked to play on and then turned around, decided he didn't like his option and said foul. I might have seen that wrong, but.
So Rieder back to Wagner. Wagner waiting for somebody somewhere. That's a inside flick. It comes out quick. Shoots. Fakes the around. Goes back to Meyerhofer. And that one just a bit too far ahead of Schutz. I think that's the second time he's been overthrown. Meyerhofer was expecting the move back into the space. Schutz is expecting to be led by an actually catchable disc. Yeah. And in the end, a smart move, I think, by Jan Bobanek to just call a timeout. There's been a few turnovers. They haven't been able to capitalize yet. Will they be able to as we come back from the break? There's only one way to find out, and that is by sticking here with ulti.TV.
Yeah, it's half open though. Yeah, I'll go.
Oh my goodness. That is unbelievable. And straight into technique first.
That was absolutely incredible.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ulti.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Here we go.
This year, London Invite is bigger than ever, with 8 teams in the Open Division, 8 teams in the Women's Division, and for the first time, a full 8-team Mixed Division.
With 5 World Games teams, USA, Canada, Australia, Germany,
France.
As well as the Tokai Super Team, is sure to be the ultimate showcase of the best in the world.
More teams, more streams, more stars, more ultimate.
More excitement.
You're not going to want to miss London Invite 2025.
Welcome back, everybody. Catchup Graz with their third time. Will it prove to be the charm? Trying to get the break score. MUC haven't had a single shot at a break point, but right now it remains 4-4 and MUC on serve. So, advantage currently lies with the Germans. The Austrians trying to break free and establish their own lead in this game for the first time. It's some smooth play out of the timeout just to get things going. I like that. It sets up the huge shot. There is realistically no one there. That is what you call textbook offense.
Yeah, really effective there. I think people can't underestimate how good that throw was to get that score. He really put that through the air, went up nice and fast, came down nice and fast, gets that little bit of blade on it, puts it out where the defender has no chance and doesn't hang it up enough. If that hangs a little longer, the defender catches up, but he gets no chance there. And again, first time of, well, not first time of asking, but first realistic chance for Catchup, and they put it in. And I think that's, based on what we've seen from this game so far, that looks to be coming. I think MUC, they're going to want to try and regroup a little now, but I think based on what we've seen so far, I think it was clearly looking like Catchup had the momentum, and I think it was good for them to get that break, to take advantage of it, because maybe it's just momentum. Hard to know if they can keep this up for the whole game, or if they're just going to be slightly on top for the rest of this game.
You have to say, Catchup have looked the sharper team. It's been a very small difference between the two of them, but the edge, I would have to give it to Catchup.
Yeah, I think just that one time where the Munich defender just got close. I think he might have touched the disc a while ago, but other than that, it's looked like it's almost like you can tell there's just a little difference between the team, where Catchup just seem to be not having to take other options, seem to be worth as much but slightly riskier or less pressured.
So Wagner goes down the line, holds it, collects, centers it with a big gain as well. That was a very impressive cut. Klimesh wearing Meyerhofer's jersey. I have Meyerhofer down as 17, not 19. I apologize for getting those names wrong. Schutz comes under. This is the problem with away strips or second strips. Gets it to the far sideline. Now Schutz is definitely in the dump position. That's a dump reset that he can catch. And a nice throw across to Holzer again. Holzer, huge inside break, very impressive, and then that one escaping the foot. MUC, that's one of their more impressive looking offensive points.
I think that one, we were just saying that their offensive points looked like they're slightly more pressured than the Catchup ones, but I have to say, I think maybe they heard us saying that, and that they decided, hey, let's just go out and show we can play a really clean on. I don't really think there was any moment there where it looked like a Catchup player was going to get near to it. There was a couple of not so easy throws, but I guess if you're drilled, they are kind of easy. So a couple of good throws, Catchup nowhere near it. So if MUC can keep playing like that, then we'll see that they will give themselves a chance to get their break back that Catchup got on the last point. So again,
5-5, bearing in mind that MUC did start on offense. So if Catchup can maintain their flawless holds and take it all the way to half, they can cash that in for a second break. Let's see if that is available to them.
Yeah, and like I was saying in the last game in the semi-final, this Catchup O-line is pretty drilled. I remember when we played them last year in the final, we had to there was some pretty crazy wind, and we had to work for our turns, and break opportunities weren't that common. When we got some, we did get a couple in a row, but for the majority of the game, they were making us really work for those turnovers. It was only when we went with our power lines with our 10-person squad that we were able to actually get the turns.
Kleinhappel floats to the near sideline, and Mori waiting for it. Mori, that's a low throw, rescued from the clutches of gravity by Breitenhaller. Breitenhaller back across and well taken in by Ushnik. Ushnik back to Breitenhaller. And to the far sideline, thinking about the hook, not for very long. They see Kleinhappel, they want to send it to him. I think
the offensive player was so sure that the defender was going to do it, and then the defensive player just decides, I don't think the offensive player thinks I'm
I think the point of that was to try and force the disc to go back to where the huck was thrown from, because it went out of bounds. But the offensive player very smartly just kicked it so that it would be engaged and have to come from the front of the stack.
I thought he could have actually maybe caught it in, but perhaps not.
This is the first turnover from the Catchup open side, and it is almost immediately followed by a turnover from the MUC defensive side.
Yeah.
So, Catchup, despite giving up the first possession of the game, able to get it back pretty quickly. Kleinhappel comes back across. Bauer. A huge grab by Kleinhappel. He's really been a standout for this team, trying to lead that. Despite the defensive attention, it does get collected just inside the end zone by Valentin Fischer.
Yeah, no, it seems things have turned around after what we just said a couple of minutes ago, where it looked like the MUC was the team constantly under pressure. Now it looks a bit like it's the catch-up offense that's finding themselves under a bit more pressure to get these scores in. So again, if you're a viewer at home, it makes for good viewing, and hopefully both teams can keep this up for the rest of the game, and this one might go right down to the wire.
Well, we certainly hope it will. 6-5, Catchup spared their blushes, but MUC got to take a little bit of positivity from the fact that they were able to dislodge possession. They're very much still in this game. It is a close run affair, but they cannot give up another break this half. 6-5 down. We find ourselves 26 minutes into the game, and a nice little shot there of your champions of the Women's Division 3 SB. Enjoying themselves and doing a little celebratory dance.
Probably getting a little bit of their world's promotion underway as well, you never know.
Smart thing to do.
I believe they're on their third take to get that right, though, so we're going to have to let them know they're not going to get as many chances to get things right on the field next time. But
well, they nailed it. You can hear the crowd going absolutely wild in the stadium. Yeah. Not so much for the successful pull catch on the part of MUC. That was Rieder and Schutz trying to work together. Wagner also involved there is Meyerhofer. Straight down the line into the awaiting hands. Trying to get it back to Wagner. They do so. Those holes are coming back to help. Schutz just taking flight to get the clap catch at everybody else's head height.
Yeah, MUC doing a good job. They're keeping the stack deep, and they're looking to swing in a bit more between the handlers. And when you push the stack out of the way and you isolate that one space, that one player towards the front, it's very easy to hit them on the break side. And if the defenders are able to cut it off, then you just bounce back across the front again. So see if Catchup can make some adjustments.
Back to Wagner. And then Wagner around. Oh, almost stolen. A little bit of contact. Vatrin more than capable to deal with it. Trying to get back to Wagner. Brilliant shutdown defense initially, and the help arrives just in time to save possession. Holzer coming back. Huge credit to the defensive mark on Wagner. I think that was Greg Forster, who's the Canadian playing with Catchup Grass. And a swing to the far sideline, collected. Klimesh, back into Holzer. So Catchup Grass ratcheting up the pressure with each turn, with each possession. Nice low grab from Vatrin. Back into the middle, shoots. And the nice dish off, and like you say, really playing in that space in between the handlers and the stack. So stacking deep and looking to get a lot of swings. A couple of high releases, but the players are ready for them. Nice play. Quick swing back out. Klimesh to the pop to Holzer, and Holzer to Wagner for the goal. 6-6.
Yeah, a lot of credit to both teams on that point. MUC able to keep maintaining the disc, and the one or two times they found themselves in tough positions, they just trust their player was going to get free, and they were always able to make that catch under pressure. But also, again, credit to the catch-up defense. That was a very physical point around the disc. I haven't seen too much of that this weekend, but there was a lot of like people basically fighting each other for positions, leaning into each other, and yeah, I think that's going to be, if they can keep that up for the rest of the game, it's going to be very hard for MUC to not have turnovers from these types of plays. But I think it's going to be also very difficult for Catchup to keep up that intensity, and the fact that MUC could score under that kind of pressure is a very good sign for them for the rest of the game also.
So MUC and Catchup. Again, obviously winning Vienna Spring Break is a fantastic achievement, and you do get a couple of very nifty jerseys and a couple of bragging rights, especially for the centrally located European teams. But ultimately, this is all just helping you set up for what is to come later in the season, and this is some fantastic training for both sides. Holzner. Just about able to get that one past. Holzer got the hand block on Holzner, but Holzner was able to still put enough spin on it to get it around. Now Mori. Big deep cut coming. The help comes off the back of the stack, so there's somebody poached in the central stack right now for Catchup Graz. Excellent tireless cutting from Fischer to come back under. He launches it deep. They trust Kleinhappel even in a 2v1, and that's exactly why! Bringing out the sun on a cloudy day, he's reaching into the sky and setting everybody in Austria smiling, and there's the quick pop pass finish from 52 to Holzner. So the assist goes to Bauer, but the credit has to go to Sven Kleinhappel for that grab after a Fischer hook, and 7-6.
Yeah, that was a really good grab. Sometimes I'll say when the disc is going up that the flight of the disc maybe favors the offensive player, but on that one there, he really had to go up and make a big grab to get that. So full credit to him for grabbing that one.
And then you can see they finish it off with some nice sweeping play. So often you find after a massive grab, the player is isolated. Catchup Graz absolutely not letting that happen to Kleinhappel, chasing after the disc, having multiple players get involved and finish the play off very consummately. So 7-6. Shouldn't say very consummately, you should just say consummately.
I'll trust you on that one, Larkin. That big range of vocabulary isn't my strong suit.
7-6. Who taught you the word vocabulary?
I don't know, maybe you.
I'm losing my perspicacity. As we see Catchup Graz refusing to let go of this game. They've turned it over once, but were able to recover. MUC have turned it over, I believe, 3 times. Catchup Graz scored off one of them, so 7-6. MUC about to receive the disc and perhaps even send us to Galaxy Point. It remains to be seen. We are, again, only about half an hour into this matchup, if even. 32 minutes gone, so plenty of time left to play. Both sides coming out, all guns firing here in the final of Vienna Spring Break 2025. Nicely collected and fed. As MUC, that one came a little bit close. Nice pressure on the mark. Really great defensive intensity from Kaufmann. Forcing Wagner to just dump it straight back. Although standing in an awful lot of space, you can see Klimesh wasn't able to get there. They go back to Wagner, trying to get it to Holzer. Holzer with some fantastic cutting, attacking the back of his defender. That's so difficult to stop. Rieder gets it back to Holzer. Holzer's just jogging along, looking for Rieder again. I don't think anybody's marking Rieder right now. Yeah, you can see just a little bit of lost heads, so MUC taking full advantage. Meyerhofer sends it back into the center, waiting for him. Klimesh. And then back. Jivenesh back to Klimesh. Wagner looking to lead and chasing it into the end zone is Moritz Klimesh for the goal. 7-7, that's Galaxy Point.
Yeah, and I think we've had a lot of games this weekend where we talk about momentum or one team or the other going on a bit of a run. I think other than the start of the game and this point where we said it felt more likely like Catchup were the ones who were going to end up getting the break, I would say this is the most evenly contested half we've seen this weekend on the stream, where you could say both teams basically look like they're just as likely to win it as the others. So really good game to finish the tournament, and if the second half is half as good as this one, it should be a really good second half. It's
been a close run affair. Both teams using good, effective space creating cutting, setting up zones of the pitch that they want to attack, and then doing a good job of isolating cutters into them. As you can see, MUC recognizing they need to get this block and taking a quick timeout. Is there anything you'd want to see them do differently defensively, John, to try and get the disc and actually get their first break of the game?
I might have thought it at the start, but I think in the last couple of points, whatever adjustments they've been making is starting to work, in the sense that the last catch-up score that was upwind, it did require a pretty spectacular catch from a very aggressive throw. So I think MUC may be looking a bit more comfortable at the moment, but not a whole lot to change, I think.
You think just let Catchup take on a couple more 50-50s and just back your own players to take them down?
I think what they've done is the aggression they've shown around the dump area is forcing Catchup to be more willing to obviously throw it to the deep shots. And again, we know there's one or two aggressive players on the Catchup line who are willing to take those shots, and that they kind of want to throw it a bit deep anyway. So I think it's just a case of we kind of know if we can funnel them into an area that we know they're confident of playing into, we at least kind of can determine where we're going to try and get the Ds. Rather than trying to stop everything, we say, look, we know they want to shoot it deep. If we can get them to shoot it deep, that's where we can try and make our plays. Just because it's what they want to do doesn't mean it hurts you if you encourage them to do that, if you think you can put pressure on it.
That is some fantastic insight being displayed by John Dock. Just because it's something they want to do doesn't mean you shouldn't let them if you're willing to take it. I would want to see maybe a couple of different matchups on Kleinhappel, because he's been taking them to task so far. Oh, and there's the quick turnover, so it doesn't quite matter. Holzner just held on to that one for slightly too long. Holzner picks it up, looks for the break around to Schlutz and gets it. Not quite how we thought Catchup would give away their lead right as we go into half. But whatever way it comes, MUC will accept it. 8-7 to Munich.
Back on serve, and probably, you know what, you'll take it. Like we saw yesterday in one of the games, sometimes you don't really care how you get the turns as long as you get them. So one break apiece, we're back on serve. Catchup Grasef, a really tough half. Just give away that little advantage they had in the very last passage of play, and yeah, back to square one. And like I said, if the second half of this game can be anything like the first half, we're in for a really good finish to this tournament. So,
well, there's only one place to find that finish, and that's here on ulti.TV. So we'll be back in just a couple of minutes to cover the second half of the final in the Open Division of Vienna Spring Break 2025.
Oh my goodness. That is unbelievable. And created the net and made for it.
That was absolutely incredible.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ulti.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn about our cutting-edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
I'm Steph Pazzo, and I must eat.
Sometimes commentator, sometimes food eater.
On my Ultimate travels in 2023, I sampled culinary classics from all across Europe.
Oh, wow.
Guided by some of your favorite Ultimate players.
That's the Dutch hospitality for you right there.
I'll give you an insight into the secret spots that only the locals know of.
Are these the best schnitzels in Vienna?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course.
Go find Steph Pazzo on YouTube. Like and subscribe and follow the European Ultimate Must Eat series.
Here we go.
This year, London Invite is bigger than ever, with 8 teams in the Open Division, 8 teams in the Women's Division, and for the first time, a full 8-team Mixed Division.
With 5 World Games teams. USA, Canada, Australia, Germany, France.
As well as the Tokai Super Team, it's sure to be the ultimate showcase of the best in the world.
More teams, more streams, more stars, more Ultimate.
More excitement.
You're not going to want to miss London Invite 2025.
Welcome back, everybody. That is going to be the last halftime break we take here in Vienna. Spring break, as nothing will stop the action from here on out. We've got one more half of high-flying, highfalutin frisbee to come as that one drifts just ever so slightly out of bounds. The score, 8-7. The temperature, a balmy 12 degrees. And the intensity, getting ever higher with each passing second. So what remains for us in this half? Well, let's see how Catchup Graz can bounce back from that uncharacteristic error right at the end of the first half. Looked like they're doing everything right, like you said, until they weren't, John. So now, how will they respond? Kleinhappel, who's been so central to everything good happening for them, or so much of it anyway. Breedenhela, no slouch himself. We'll almost want to see Kleinhappel maybe playing a bit more of a roll downfield. You see Maury coming down, setting up the pass. So right now it's all these three, and there's Kleinhappel from the dump to the end zone, and that's what he does best, collecting it off a fantastic leading pass throw from Jonathan Breedenhaller.
Yeah, great show of pace there by him to run that one down. He makes it look easy, but I guarantee you most of the players on this field are probably creating highlight plays there, making layouts to grab that one. And maybe one of the curses of being a fast player is you don't get as many spectacular looking grabs, because sometimes at your full speed it actually just makes more sense to just reach for the disc rather than trying to lay out at top speed or
Well, if that's a problem that you're finding, just play with worse throwers.
Perhaps.
Or play defense.
I don't
No,
know.
if you find you're not getting the layout as much as you want to, play more defense.
True. We'll tell him there, although I don't think he's complaining about it. So he's just happy to be the one running down those goals and getting his D-line back on the line. And again, scoring down in the downwind in front. If there's any fans, they're all down in that area, of the end zone watching.
Right next to the bar, as you were saying, in the
first
first half. So 8-8, and exactly how you wanted Catchup, Graz, to come out at the start of the second half. So banishing all thoughts of that brief misstep and returning to the form that really defined their first half and has defined their tournament so far. And even their tournament last year. They are the defending champions. As you said yourself, John, an annoyingly difficult team to get the disc back off of. Let's see how MUC can handle being back in the driver's seat for the first time in several points. And a huge throw from Holzer. Doesn't want to waste any time, sending it all the way down the pitch. Looking for Fabian Meyerhofer, one of the 3 Meyerhofers involved in this team, as I found out during the toilet break. Wagner. Holzer tries to get free. That's some good dump coverage, but an even better leading backhand pass collected for the score very effectively. Klimesh, 9-8.
Yeah, really nice. Maybe some call on the field actually, but I was. It's just while they're paused. Not actually sure what the call is, but it was a really nice hook to get him into this position. We got enough blade on the backhand that got up and down fast enough before the defense could catch up. So not entirely sure what the call here is.
I think it's a pick up from the stack.
Yeah, potentially. Probably the most
so
likely
we'll go
outcome.
back to Holzer, just outside of the end zone. Same cut made again. Holzer decides against it. Just reset. Shoots, goes into the end zone, steps right back out. Fantastic cutting in the close quarters, and 9-8 it goes.
Yeah, very hard to stop someone in that space when they have a smaller center of gravity and they can just turn and make those explosive quick cuts. It almost doesn't matter sometimes what you do. You're really just relying there on the force to make sure you maybe don't get beaten up line, or you do one thing, the force does the other. But again, maybe not super clear communication by the two teammates on Catchup there on how best to adjust in that spot, but taking nothing away. Really good explosive cut. Defensive player not going to be able to shut him down. Some nice chance coming from the sideline.
I wouldn't say that's the most inventive of chants, but it seems to be effective.
Yeah, it made me silent, and there's not much that does that. So
don't we know it? As MUC 9-8 up, Catchup in that exact position they spent so much of the half in. But apart from 1 or 2 slight missteps, they've been very, very confident throughout this game. Kleinhappel gets it to the near sideline and across to Holzner. The quick swing further afield, Ushnig. And you can see how quickly they're moving all the way down there. Fisher to Mori. Mori, no one near him. Collected for the goal. 9-9.
Yeah, and again, Fisher, it seems like every single time he catches the disc in that area of the field, we can almost start looking down to see the number that he's running towards the end zone, because that's usually who's going to be catching the score after. Again, just such a wide range of throws that he's able to do, and he makes them look easy, and again, just leads it out. Defender had no chance. Nice offense by Catchup again, and like we said, just an extremely even game the whole way. Basically nothing in this. If you were to say your definition of an easy game, you should so far up to this point, you could tell people just open this game and watch this one. It's been so tight. Couldn't even try to predict. I know in the last game we were talking about
couldn't try to predict? I mean, it's a bit of fun. I'm going to say Catchup guys get the break and take the win. We've got our producer, cameraman, and just about everything else technical, Noah Brinkworth, coming in with he'll take even money on the MUC. We've got the same flight back tomorrow, so we could always bet you like a drink in the airport or something. Alrighty.
Yeah, you heard it.
It's going to be a drink of orange juice, though. The first drink you ever have in your life is a 6 a.m. pint, Noah. I'd be happy to be a part of that.
And that pull
wasn't very good, was it?
Nowhere close to coming back in, and he's not going to brick this one.
I like that. I like taking advantage.
Oh, he is going to brick it, but from the other team's brick mark on the sideline, so...
I mean, maybe this works. You can contract and work in the awkward spaces.
I mean, they're not worried about the deep game here unless we see a 20-meter backwards reset. So again, although maybe it's a strategy for them.
We'll see what Meyerhofer can do. Looks to get the break across the Holzer. Well shut down. Goes down to Wagner. Good use of the mark. Wagner looks to loft it around the defense and does so with a plum. Klimesh gets the score, 10-9.
And normally I would say in games that who really cares if you throw a brick or every now and again you mess one up, but in a game as tight as this, throwing your pull out inside your own half of the field, basically inside your own brick mark, giving another team just a relatively short field to work with. In a game this tight, that's probably a bit more impactful than you would normally think in a normal game. Normally wouldn't matter too much if you're throwing a pull that's not so great, but like I said, this one's really close. So
that was very smart by MUC, I found. Initially, great work by Vincent Coyle on the mark to stop the swing to Holzer, but then turning Wagner recognized that if you're taking the around, that leaves an open space immediately. So he does that instant cut straight into the front space, gets it, and even that, the throw afterwards, very difficult to send it up, around, and down. Such a short space, hugging the sideline to be able to get it to Klimesh for the goal. Very well done from MUC. 10-9. We'll see how they respond. So, Holzner on the other end. Kleinhappel. Whew. Gets it just past Stops. Stops having a bit of a quiet game. I think it's because he's been out there on the D-line. Not able to influence as much as you'd normally expect him to do. Breitenhela gets it across to Mori. Mori. Down, there's Fisher wasting no time launching it. He wants Kleinhappel, he sees him. I want to see Stops on the matchup, but when the throws are that good, all you can do is wish it well as it glides past you.
yeah, another fantastic throw there. You could see the way he was setting up his cut as well, Fisher there. I was watching him, just seeing this is how it's going to go. He's just casually walking, waiting for the right moment to just go. As soon as he catches it, it's just something like I myself as a shooter, you just know when your teammates just know to be in the space for you, and when you're playing with people long enough, sometimes as a thrower, you just know you need to look up and throw it, and you don't have to think as much when you've got the right chemistry with the right players, because you just know they know how to set up the cut. But again, another fantastic throw. We're making it sound like, oh, he's just throwing what he normally does. There's not many players that can make it look as easy as that or throw it into the space. And his receiver as well just has the speed to just get there. Not much the defense could do. And like, I'll be honest, I think any other situation at the tournament, that defender is probably going to be getting a block there, but that thrower to that throw quality to a receiver of that speed, you just sometimes you just have to say, hey, nice cut, nice throw, not much I can do, I did my part on defense.
And I was calling for that matchup as well, with Kleinhappel being so effective already. I was like, well, just what kind of massive defenders do MUC have at their disposal? Why don't you put Stops out there on him, see what he's capable of doing? And like you say, when the throws are that good.
Well, what they probably might need to consider doing is just start pushing Fisher deep. I mean, all he's done is
he's coming from a cutting position, but there might be legs to that idea as Holzer has the disc and doesn't like the cuts deep from Schutz or Klimesh.
Is how we got most of our breaks against them last year when we were struggling.
Wagner.
Again, he can be dangerous going deep as well, but obviously there's be a lot of good throwers on the team. There just isn't going to be a thrower of the same quality able to put it out that well. So even if he does go deep and he's free,
it's a matter of pick your poison, right? Yeah, he's their best thrower. So maybe force him under. And like obviously they still have some incredible people with the disc in their hands.
And
as Holzer. So I think that call is going to still come in at a medium stall count. Nice leading pass, and just ever so gently gets it to Meyerhofer. Meyerhofer launches it down there. Klimesh gets high and picks it from the top shelf. 11-10.
Yeah, defender kicking the ground after that one. I think he's pretty annoyed that he just misread that disc. I thought initially it might actually go over the defender's head. So from my angle, I could see why the defender was doing that, but he ends up just completely misreading it and giving the player an easy, uncontested catch. I say it well. I mean that's essentially uncontested in this game. No real pressure.
By this game standards, absolutely yes.
Yeah. So again, I think that's another slightly wasted opportunity for Catchup to potentially get a turnover. Let's see if they're going to probably need to take advantage of one of those soon, because their O-line is, well, I say their O-line can only be clean for so long. They've been clean for most of the points in this game, so maybe they can finish it off. But I can't imagine we'll get to the end of this game without a couple more At least turnovers.
At least turnovers. But
Yeah.
bear in mind, we've still only seen one break apiece.
Yeah, that's
I
what I
think
mean.
in total we've had 3 turnovers for MUC and 1 from Catchup Graz. Maybe, no, 2 from Catchup Graz, I
Yes,
think.
yeah, they'd have to have the same amount if the score is on serve. But if
No, breaks the same amount, sure, but turnovers. Because MUC gave up a few turnovers. Catchup Graz didn't capitalize on straight away. This Catchup Graz. Breitenheiler sends it downfield, and they're launching it deep. Stops, tries to get in the way of Murray, but they've got a lot of big quality receivers on that Graz side.
Again, got to feel a small bit for the defender there. I believe it's the same, possibly the same defender again. That time, he does everything right. The only difference is this time, he's got a guy, the only guy in the other team possibly taller than him that he just can't really beat when they have possession. So again, just Catchup, just putting the disc exactly where it needs to go to create the most difficulty for the MUC defense. But again, you know, it only takes one little mistake on these and it's going to create turnovers. So
11 each with, I believe, 50 minutes gone. 50 minutes, about 20 minutes left in regulation. You got to think this is going 15, John.
yeah, with the speed of these last few points, especially if both teams keep using their deep game like this, I think we're going to get to 15.
But who will hit that fateful 15 first?
Oh.
I did pick Catchup Graz earlier, and with each passing brace of points, it becomes less and less likely. But I've still got faith in the Austrians.
I'm still even not at the stage where I would feel like a prediction at this stage would just basically be me just deciding I'm just going to pick a name. I've not seen
That's what a
any.
prediction is, John.
Yeah, but normally you try and make a prediction based on something you're seeing, and right now I guess maybe you could say the MUC defense is close to every catch-up score, but being close doesn't get turns when the other team's putting the disc where exactly where it needs to go.
Klemesh sends it down to Schutz. Schutz continues it to Rieder. Schutz makes the move downfield. It's led just ever so slightly ahead, but perfectly into the path of Schutz. That is a difficult pass.
Yeah, really nice throw down the line, especially because he can't lead it too much if he's aware of that extra poaching defender coming in. He has to lead it straight down the line, and again, the offensive player has a nice bit of speed there that he can get there before the defensive poach is able to come in. I think good poach look from the peeling off defender, but just a bit unlucky that the player running down the disc was much faster. I guess if I was forced to make a prediction, the only reason I would make a prediction is MUC just currently in the lead and it requires Catchup to get a break. So I guess if I had to find a reason to make a prediction, it would purely be that Catchup have to get a break. Do I think it's possible? Yes. Do I think it's also possible for them to get one and MUC get one back? Yes, possibly, but
You're a real fan of the possibilities, aren't you?
I would
say
say
it with your chest, John.
Kevin,
say it with your chest. Catchup Graz are going to score this point, then they're going to score the next point.
No
and
idea.
what if I'm wrong? Who cares? I'm wrong all the time.
I still think it's 50-50 because if the game comes down to
50-50 means you flip a coin.
Yeah, which is what they did at the start of the game when they decided who started on offense.
Well, we'll see who's going to finish on offenses right now. Catchup Graz, 1 point down, but plenty of spirit left. A dainty little dish to Fisher. Wallace doing everything he can, trying to stop all those options to the break side. Good initial shutdown on that play. Forced to send him back into Breitenheiler. Breitenheiler sends it back around, but a miscommunication leads to a miscalculation. And the disc bounces out of the outstretched hands. 2 Catchup Graz players, and MUC have a chance to double their lead. They've never been more than a point ahead in this game. It goes back to stops. He's pointing, he's waiting. Somebody somewhere get free. He's shot that one over the head. It's going to take something special. And instead it just hits the dirt directly in front of the intended receiver.
And he shoots.
Big shot from Graz going in the opposite direction. Clap catched just outside of the end zone. I don't think that's going to count on its own. Bauer is going to need to finish it and does very nicely into the waiting hands of Moik. So, whew. All right, 12-12.
Yeah, Catchup's only problem there on the turnover was that they had too many players free and they got in each other's way. It wasn't the defense. But again, like we're saying, the MUC just probably hasn't had enough time on the disc lately to be able to try and work some offense. So again, just a slight overthrow, a bit unfortunate, but you know, another time you might get that throw right. But again, they got to get those breaks. They did the first part happened. I won't say they did the first part because it was purely Catchup having 2 players getting in each other's way, but
this has been a scintillating matchup here in the final of Vienna Spring Break 2025, brought to you by ulti.TV. Such a pleasure to be here and enjoying this high-quality Ultimate. And what other way do you want a tournament to end than quite simply, hey, two best teams here, game to 3. We got a game to 3 here, ladies and gentlemen. This is why you run those drills. This is why you hit up your fitness classes, to be in these positions and ready to kick some.
Exactly.
So here we go. Big pull out of Catchup grass.
You can hear the sidelines getting loud
The
now.
sidelines starting to feel it now. The Catchup grass women have shown up. Everybody's deciding to stand directly in our way. Understandable, we'll forgive them for the game to 3. Holzer has the disc. Searching, somebody somewhere, get free. Klimesh is in front of him. Meyerhofer makes the cut up the line. Meyerhofer goes back to Holzer. The extendo arms, but not quite enough. Wagner has the disc. Wagner with a huge rip, looking to the unmarked in the space. You gotta showboat sometimes. Meyerhofer brings it home. That's the first one. 1-0, 13-12, however you prefer to say it, John.
Yeah, a couple of times there I thought the defender on the disc, person on the force might get close to some hand blocks and some of them dumps, and I think maybe they were just trying to put maximum pressure on the MUC players on the unders there, and then a player just gets free deep and again wide open, enough time to celebrate, and that is not exactly typical of what we've seen in this game so far. Most players do not have much time to decide how they want to catch the disc. So again, it just says to the quality of this game. And like I said earlier, because now we're on the finals, we probably have the most viewers watching. If you're a team, and I think this is one of the most ideal tournaments you could have to start your season, if you think maybe you're in the 10 to 30 ranked teams in Europe, again, I think maybe if you're one of the very top teams, I think you would say maybe there's a couple of them missing, or they aren't all here. But if you're a team that's on the edge of EUCF level events, you couldn't ask for a better event to start your tournament. So start thinking about it next year if you're watching this right now.
It's such a great proving ground, somewhere to cut your teeth, blood your newer team elements, and really come up against quality opposition consistently. That's why all these teams come here. And also, let's be honest, it's fantastic facilities and wonderful hosts, so it's another great reason to come.
Yeah, people only get to see the fields here, but the venue is really nice. Big stadium. Yeah, everything.
And they take care of you. They take care of you. It's,
especially
it's
if you come by car. There's so much within 5 minutes drive that you can just really do what you want around here.
As Catchup Graz looking to do what they want and bring this game back to evens, perhaps even a game to 2, finds its way to the hands of Bauer. Bauer needs to get that off. It's going to be a bit of a call, I don't think. David enjoyed that touch.
Yeah, I think
Kazimierz check.
Bit of rapping, it looked like, or not rapping, but it looked like he was a.
Oh, we're going to start rapping?
Yeah.
Sebastian Bauer is here to say he's got the power to win the day. Ha 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 ha. No? All right, fine.
Yeah, but the call did come for the foul, not for the kind of rapping look.
I appreciate that. I don't know if anybody picked up on that in the background. As Bauer gets it to Holzner, middle of the pitch. That was a tough throw. Fischer, does he send it deep? No, he just keeps it patient. Big bid, but coming up empty. And now the chance for Catchup Graz through Mori to attack the end zone. Still try a little bit of a push off. Those inside flick breaks are dangerous, but not in the hands of the experienced. Fischer gets the swing across. It's with Kleinhappel now. Back to Fischer. Fischer looks to finish, finds the gap somehow and hits Breitenhaler for the goal.
As he throws that completion, it's almost like throwing a pass to a guy in a phone box while he's being guarded by another guy. There was a very small window to catch that, and he managed to put it in. Again, making difficult throws look easy. And again, we're going to require, there's only game to 2 now at this stage, so MUC still have the advantage in that they have to give up a break. So Catchup sideline starting to get loud for their team. Women after in the final, hoping that their male counterparts can do one better and go on and win this, but they're all here now to support their team to finish this game.
Game to 2, baby. Keeps getting cut down. All right, 13-all, still on serve MUC. They gave up a break about halfway through the first half, but got it back on literally Galaxy Point. So they remain on serve, and they've held it throughout the second half. There's been, I think, 1 turnover apiece since then, so it's been a very tight, very high level game. Both these sides struggling to dislodge the disc from the opponent's O-lines. I still give the edge ever so slightly to Catchup Graz, but they're running out of time to prove me right.
And some nice sideline energy here, all imitating the pull as it goes up.
There it is. That's that energy. That's that intensity.
Yeah.
As Catchup Graz look to take the lead. Wagner doesn't want to let them get anywhere close to it. Big cut deep by Schutz. Instead he goes under. There's another big cut deep. Schutz is in the area, as is Klims Esch, and it goes to Schutz. They make it look oh so simple.
There's a couple of fast people on both these teams, but I think after maybe Universe Point, I'm not sure of their names, but I think you're aware of them now. The two guys that are just using their pace in this game, Catchups. Oh, I've lost. I'm not sure of their names, but we've been talking about these two. I believe 82. So. And the player who just got that
for
there,
MUC Schutz.
Maybe we just get the two of them to do a full pitch sprint to decide who wins on Universe.
That's such a you thing to think as we're approaching Universe Point. I wonder which one of those dudes is faster in a sprint.
I mean, if this game is essentially going to be decided by a flip, why not be decided by something you have a bit more control over?
Personally, I think we should just have a gladiatorial combat. I don't mean like actual in the arena gladiators. I mean the popular 90s TV show gladiators. Put them on a travelator. See who can run up a down escalator quicker.
Yeah. But yeah, again, well, MUC with a chance to win here. We haven't really considered that at the moment. A break here would win the game, but
big pull from Holzer. As Holzner collects on the other side. Kleinhappel. Mori. Takes the under. That's a nice cut. You lose your defender in the cut. Fischer. Doesn't see any big things emerging straight away. Just resets back to Holzner. Holzner thought for a second he was going to go to Fischer. Ever so slightly cut off by Ushnik, but I think there's a pick call in the stack. Holzner. Big cut from Mori, sweeping across the pitch, despite the best intentions of Heigemeister.
Two big units.
Coming back in on 0. Oh, and just about getting that to Fischer. He's outside the end zone. He's got a lot of throws at his disposal. Goes back to Holzner.
He's hoping for a scuba.
Searching. I was certainly hoping for a scuba as there's a pick called 13-14 inside the brick mark. If you're an O-line, this is all about putting it in, taking your time. It's a game to 15 regardless. Do not give up the disc. Do not give that D-line a look in. Just give your boys one more chance to win it. There's another, I think that's a violation call, perhaps just the move coming too quickly from Kleinhappel.
Yeah. Fischer guarded by Wallace here at the front. You'd imagine he's probably, although Fischer looks like he's given the head shake to say, no, not me this time. Look for an easier matchup.
Holzner isolated ever so slightly in the dump position. A lot of people making all kinds of moves trying to get free. There's another pick call. It's what happens when you have 14 players all within a 10-by-10 box.
Yeah, there hasn't been too many stoppages in this play, and I think it's just a situation now where the stoppages are happening in the end zone, so every move to restart the play, players are kind of just all surrounded by each other. So
it's been a lot of hucks and quick finishes. This is the first kind of stagnated, protracted amount of time he spent outside the end zone in a while. Holzner gets it on the inside break, gets it across to Kleinhappel. Kleinhappel looking for options. It's a scooper over the top. It's everything I've ever wanted. And it's exactly what MUC needed. It's a turnover. Wagner picks it up. He doesn't want to waste any time. Looking to go right back down the pitch. Finds Holzer. Holzer's made many a big shot all game long. Instead, takes the under. Finds Meyerhofer. That is Basti Meyerhofer. Wagner, Holzer. Holzer looking for options. Rieder makes another deep cut. He decides he doesn't want that one. Goes instead to Justin Wallace. Wallace back to Wagner. Wagner gets it back into Holzer. Holzer and Wagner really just conducting the orchestra right now as the opportunity to take the win. 15-13. Back to Wagner. They're being forced back every time. Now Holzer. Marked by Holzner.
Another pick called.
You can cut the tension with a spoon.
Well, we were calling for a scuba in this point, and we did get it.
It's never the wrong call, just the wrong execution. Rieder looks to go back to Holzer, but immediately shut down thanks to the very impressive defensive force by Breitenheiler, but they're able to get it back anyway, looking to lead it. Huge layout block, saving the game. Fischer, fantastic stuff.
What a way to get it back. Full extension. Offensive player then just slips, not able to even attempt to try and toe that line. Great defense when it's needed by one of their best players.
Kleinhappel leads Holzner. Holzner centers it into the middle. Collected by Breitenheiler. And there's the shot. He loves that. We've seen it so many times. We'll see it once more. Fisher leans back and leads into the end zone. Kleinhappel, what a combination. What a partnership. What a game here at Vienna Spring Break. 14-14. We're going to universe, baby.
Yeah, and if ever a game deserved universe, this final deserves it. Like I've said, like we've said, it's been just so tight the whole way through. This whole tournament's been nothing but close games in the men's division, and yeah, getting a universe point just like last year. We're getting our universe.
Getting flashbacks, John?
It did involve, I believe it was a break for Catchup to win it last year in a game where it seemed like there was never really a moment like they looked like they were going to win until suddenly, they got the disc and it's in the end zone. And how did 3SB lose that one? But
how did Galaxy Point go? 7-all. Catchup were receiving the disc on offense. Turnover, score within 1 point. MUC take half 8-7. They've never been able to push the lead more than a point.
We can
They did have a chance there to score, but excellent recovery defense, and of course, what a play. I guess you've kind of got to give double happiness to Fisher for that one.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing not too many, but I believe there might be a couple of O-line players going once more
Stepping
for this
out
last
onto
point.
The line. I mean,
you might as well. If you're ever going to go for it in a final, got to win that bling.
You want to take home a little bit of glory. Surprised to see Fisher off the line.
I think he probably put all his effort into that last point to get that block full extension.
Don't know what more you can really request of him, as here they go. Morey certainly stepping out there with the D-line. They're going to push this with everything they have, but they have been stalwarts throughout this game. MUC, there's a deep shot immediately. Meyerhofer decides against it. Goes back to Wagner. Cut under from Schutz. Schutz has been tireless. The little engine that could all game long. Back to Wagner in the middle of the pitch. No slouch himself. He's had a couple of hucks and a lot of great consistent plays to keep possession flowing. Big fake out of the hands of Meyerhofer. Back to Wagner. They're looking for large separations. Holzer collects it, tries to lead it a little bit. Shoots deep, wants it all the way for the win! Ever so slightly outside of the range.
Fingertip close. I was sure he had it, and then in the last game we get this slightly downwind turnover, just slightly overshoots his player. It seemed based on how this game had gone so far that there was no way we were going to see a turnover once that throw went up, but it is universe, and it's been an entertaining game so far, so like we've said, we might as well get the entertaining finish. Forward in our Catchup in this position last year, universe point, got the disc.
I think that might be the first turnover the MUC O-line's had in the second half. Might be the second. This is certainly a chance for Catchup to get their first break of the second half. Kleinhappel looks to lead, does so. About 3 different people go deep. Only one of them still chasing on the other end. He stumbles. It's knocked away. Great defense from Wallace. You've got to wonder, was that just a little bit too eager to start it off with? Maybe settle down slightly more. And they're going straight back. There is no time to take a breath there. He almost sitting down into it to launch it. Decides against it. Meyerhofer sends it back. It skirts all the way around. Wagner looking to the opposite side. Klimesh has shoots. Sees him in the center. Shoots right outside the end zone. Swings. Caught. Goal! Michael Stops brings the tournament to a close. 15-14. Congratulations, MUC. Commiserations. Catchup, Graz, and to both teams, sincerely, thank you. What a way to wrap up the tournament. What a quality game. What a quality weekend, John.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic game to end it. I feel on the streams, most of the games we've been watching, they've been good at times, and then towards the end you kind of feel it's obvious who's going to win. I didn't even want to predict who was going to go in. It was go on and win this one. MUC in the end, and we got the turns. Both teams had a chance to win it. Fantastic end to the game. Fantastic tournament by both these teams, and yeah, not a bad way for me to get to enjoy ending my first weekend here in the booth with you. But what a game to finish, and yeah. Get to Vienna, guys. You can see the tournament. Great teams.
Great teams, great city, great people. We've had a wonderful weekend here at Vienna Spring Break. Whether you joined us for Tom's Tourney, whether you joined us for Vienna Spring Break, whether you're joining us for the rest of the season, we want to thank you so much for your time and your energy. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Remember, you can always support us on Patreon, or failing that, just share and get the word out there. ulti.TV, live, wild, and free for everybody. On behalf of the wonderful people here at Vienna Spring Break. On behalf of John Doherty, on behalf of myself, Noah Brinkworth, the ulti.TV crew, Lou Burgess, who stepped in and helped us out as well. Thank you so much for joining us for this tournament, and we will see you at the next one. Next catch time, same catch channel.
Thanks.
Yeah, ultimate.
ulti.TV